Welcome into the post Super Bowl Monday show as 31 other teams in the NFL sit around and one fan base in the Philadelphia Eagles is celebrating a major victory. I continue to think that this day should be a holiday. We should get the day off. Like, let's figure out a way to do that or move the game to Saturday. Just make it more reasonable for everyone. But to be honest, when you think about this game was really over by halftime, shortly after halftime. Wasn't close at all. We're going to get into the game in a little bit. But until then, let's talk about the new VP of Player Health and Performance, as well as the Blueprint series for the Carolina Panthers, which is going to drop tomorrow night, the 11th. Of course, we'll do Super Bowl reaction and halftime performance on a somewhat light news day for the Carolina Panthers. But hey, we are officially in off-season mode. It's here, folks. So get ready to have things ramped up. All right, let's jump right in. It's been reported that the Panthers are hiring Bills associate athletic trainer Denny Kellington, who actually received an MVP vote for his role in saving Damar Hamlin's life 2 years ago as the VP of Player Health and Performance. A big hire for Carolina, and again, a big opportunity for Kellington. So officially the VP of Player Health and Performance. We knew that Carolina Panthers made some changes. I always wonder like how much of a difference some of these things will be in the long run, but I did go back and I didn't pull them into today's session. Look at other previous players, testimonials, reviews, whatever you want to call it, of his work and what he's done. And I also went in to take a look at what was he doing before this and give you a little bit of his background. So he initially worked as a graduate assistant athletic trainer at his alma mater, Ohio State. After that, he joined the Ohio Orthopedic Center of Excellence as a physical extender and worked as such for a year. Then he got appointed as an assistant athletic trainer at Syracuse and worked there for 5 years before becoming the head athletic trainer all the way up until 2017. In 2017, he joined the Buffalo Bills and currently works there, of course, up until now as an assistant athletic trainer. And he, of course, we talked about saving Damar Hamlin's life. So he was at Syracuse from, I believe, 01, 02, a little bit out after that, up until 2017. So he was there for a long time. And I pulled most of the information that's on here into his bio. So exciting times. I mean, the Carolina Panthers, we know about the injuries. I don't know how much, when you have soft tissue injuries that occur on turf, an athletic trainer can help, but we know there's at least one significant injury on the roster right now in Brooks, and getting him back, getting him healthy. So I think it's important for the Panthers to figure this thing out, man. And we could sit here all day and talk about the past few years and what it's meant. We can also pull up the report cards from the players and like scored lower in some of these categories compared to the rest of the league. The Panthers Blueprint series is dropping. I don't know how many people care too much about this, but it's like, you know what? We'll talk about it. I enjoy it. It's kind of like a Hard Knocks, but it's put on by the team. So, they kind of edit what actually goes on here. But according to Panthers.com, the final entry of the Panthers Blueprint series for the 2024 season takes an in-depth look at the team's biggest success, the offensive line. Fans will get an exclusive all-access insight into team and breakout meetings, mic'd-up practices, and never-before-seen mic'd-up footage of Damian Lewis battling the Atlanta Falcons in the Panthers season closing game. I dig it. Offensive line, best unit on the entire team, hands down. I've talked about that. I've talked about the coaching. It'll be nice to see that. I don't know how long this video is going to be, but good way to close out the season, get ready for next year. Again, hoping that the offensive line and stability around that can continue forward. Now, we got to talk about Super Bowl. Super Bowl reaction time. What a blowout. And there's a lot of storylines going around. Number one, Patrick Mahomes, and I had to pull up the stat. We'll talk about a few of them, not even the stat line, but the number of times that he was blitzed. According to Next Gen Stats, the Eagles did not blitz once across 42 dropbacks. Just the fourth defense did not blitz in a game in the Next Gen Stats era. So they only relied on their front four to get all that pressure on Patrick Mahomes. Eagles generated 16 pressures and sacked Mahomes 6 times. Yeah, the most in his career. And if you were following me during this time, during the game, I was tweeting about this as it happened because this has been a bad year for Patrick Mahomes as far as times he's been sacked. 2 times he's been sacked, 5 times this year. One of those games against, yes, the Carolina Panthers. So as much as we talk about the Panthers not having a pass rush, not being able to get to the quarterback for whatever reason, maybe that should have been the signal to the world that the Chiefs just aren't as good as we think. And I will say, I agree. If you follow the Chiefs at all this year, you saw how they were in close games. And I think at one point, if you had flipped their score, they would have a losing record. Yeah, all that means nothing because they kept winning. And if you win the games, you keep advancing. And that's exactly what happened. But at some point, it's going to catch up with you. And I don't know that we've seen Patrick Mahomes that rattled at all. That was a freaking butt whooping, a demolishing by the defense. And I think it's an emphasis for the Panthers to see, like, hey, yes, Jalen Hurts was good. Yes, Saquon Barkley is fantastic. Devontae Smith, Goddard, all those guys. Having a defense that can get to the quarterback, especially without having to pressure, and then you drop everyone into coverage, it's important. And unfortunately, the Chiefs just kind of, the wheels fell off. I also saw a stat tweeted out by someone that works for ESPN. I did not bookmark this one because things were flowing through, that in the Super Bowl era, 6 quarterbacks have not been blitzed. And again, next gen stats and Super Bowl, general stats are not the same, but ESPN has all of them. 6 quarterbacks have not been blitzed. All of them have lost. That is wild to think that you can win a football game without having to blitz the quarterback at all. And here's what we have to say about the Philadelphia Eagles. Philadelphia Eagles were 30th last year in points allowed. Now, they had a really good offense. They also won 11 games. I see some people saying, well, can we, Carolina Panthers, make that flip? I don't know. And I understand Ejiro working for Fangio and all that goes with that, ties to the scheme. There was a report during Ejiro Evero's time in Denver that the scheme overlapped. Terminology is a little different. I look at this and I think coaching trees are used primarily in good situations or to give someone else a little more credit. And the way I say look at this is like when you talk about a coaching tree and you're like, well, he coached under him, so he's got to be smart. He knows this and this. Like, unless you're the guy, it's hard to replicate it. And I think we all agree with that. It really is. It's like me saying, well, I went to school, I went to college. My professor, man, he went to Harvard. And so does that mean that I am also going to be as smart as him? No, it does not. And so for the Panthers, I want fans to have a realistic expectation of what to think going into next year. I think middle of the pack should be the target. Anything above that is great. Anything below that, he's fired. Like it's a very simple formula. You need a mediocre, average defense, and if you get anything beyond that, you're succeeding, in my opinion. Now, I don't know long term if that means Ejiro Evero would be here for the next year or 2 or 3 after that, but at least for next season, and I guess Canales would evaluate after that if a change needs to be made. We also look at like the Eagles made a change in their coordinator positions last year. OC and DC, that's a big thing to go through coming off an 11-win season. Again, Panthers, I wouldn't expect them to make any changes on the offensive side of the ball with the staff there. But on the defense, man, we've seen the changes happening slowly, but sometimes you got to start at the top up. start up with the defensive coordinator and work your way down. So I'm not completely sold on the fact that Ejiro Evero has ties, that he's going to figure it out. I mean, I don't have to repeat this to those that follow me closely and know that I'm not skeptical, but I love to be proven wrong. Last night, I went through the number of Eagles fans that had asked for Nick Sirianni to get fired. Not last night, but leading up to it, whether it was a year ago, weeks ago, months ago. It is insane to see. And I said, you know what? I hope there comes a day when the Panthers are winning with Ejiro Evero as the defensive coordinator, not just winning a Super Bowl, and people come back and find those receipts and call me out on it. Like, please, please do it for the sake of the Carolina Panthers. I would love to be proven wrong, no doubt about it. Now, the other thing, we'll close out this episode, kind of a little bit of fun thing, maybe not, the Super Bowl halftime performance. I want to know what people think. So I feel like I'm a little bit of Homer. I am a fan of Kendrick Lamar. Man, I got to see him live and in person 12 years ago in Greensboro, North Carolina, and this was way before he blew up. This was when Mad City was out. He played and he played in the smaller part of the Greensboro Coliseum. I can't remember what they actually called it, but got to go front row. It was like a college show that they put on. He brought out J. Cole. It was an amazing concert. I kid you not, really, really good. But it's wild for me to think that he went from that stage on his own, independent, all the way up to performing at the Super Bowl. Now, like I said, I was a fan of it, but I also will be realistic and like, I don't know if it was the mic. I know some people probably just don't like the music selection either, but it wasn't the greatest in my mind. He was really good, but I also like it. So it's like you're gonna see things through a different lens than someone else. And like my wife, that's my gauge to measure like, is this good or bad? Because she's engaged and I know, I got, yeah, this is pretty good. And she kind of wasn't. So I wouldn't be surprised if people weren't either. But anyways, folks, that is going to do it for today's episode. This is Carolina Dad. Y'all have a good one.